That's why, when she didn't return home one evening after her shift, alarms went off instantly. Her car was found abandoned on the outskirts of town, driver's door ajar, her phone and purse left inside. To investigators, it looked like a random act of violence, perhaps an abduction by a stranger passing through. The town was shaken. Vigils were held, posters went up, and search parties scoured the woods. But as detectives dug deeper, cracks began to appear in the carefully painted picture of Claire's life. Friends revealed that Claire had grown distant in the weeks before her disappearance. She spoke in riddles about being watched, and once confided that money attracts the wrong kind of people. Police also discovered late-night text messages on her phone, deleted but partially recovered, hinting at a secret relationship. The first major twist came when surveillance footage surfaced from a gas station the night she vanished. Claire wasn't alone. She was seen arguing with a man in a dark hoodie, someone the townsfolk didn't recognize. That man was later identified as Ethan Ward, a college dropout from a neighboring town with a record of minor offenses. On the surface, Ethan seemed like the obvious suspect. He admitted knowing Claire but denied harming her. Still, there were inconsistencies in his story. Why had he deleted his messages to her? Why had he been in Willow Creek that night at all? Investigators pressed harder, but just as suspicion grew around him, another revelation shifted the case entirely. Claire's inheritance, worth millions, was set to be fully transferred to her once she turned 21. But in the event of her death, the money would pass not to a trust, but to her legal guardian, her grandmother. Suddenly, investigators were forced to confront a chilling possibility. Could someone within her own household have had motive? Digging into financial records, detectives discovered the grandmother was deeply in debt, facing foreclosure on properties she had quietly invested in. And yet, neighbors swore she adored Claire and would never harm her. The thought was unthinkable until the final piece of the puzzle emerged. In a shocking twist, it was neither Ethan nor the grandmother who orchestrated Claire's disappearance. Instead, suspicion fell on Mara Delaney, Claire's supposed best friend since childhood. Mara, it turned out, had been secretly involved with Ethan. Together, they had planned to pressure Claire into sharing some of her wealth. When Claire refused, tensions spiraled into violence. Confronted with evidence, Claire's blood found in Mara's car and messages that revealed their scheme, Mara broke down. Through tears, she admitted that what started as a plan to scare Claire into giving the money ended tragically when Claire tried to escape. The revelation tore the town apart. People who had once lit candles for Mara at the vigils now looked at her with disgust. Claire's grandmother was left shattered, not only by the loss of her granddaughter, but also by the betrayal of the very community she trusted. In the end, Claire Beaumont's story was not just about a disappearance. It was about the dangerous shadows that wealth, secrets, and envy can cast even in the safest of places. Willow Creek would never be the same. In the days following Mara Delaney's confession, Willow Creek descended into a state of disbelief. The idea that someone so close to Claire, someone who had stood shoulder to shoulder with her at school events, sleepovers, and childhood birthdays, could orchestrate her downfall was almost too much for the town to bear. At the courthouse, locals gathered in hushed groups, some in tears, others visibly angry. "I just can't believe it," one woman told reporters. Mara was like family to Claire. She was supposed to protect her, not hurt her. The case quickly moved from a missing persons investigation to a homicide inquiry. Though Mara claimed Claire's death had been an accident, prosecutors argued that the evidence told a darker story. The traces of blood in the car, the deleted messages, and the secrecy surrounding her relationship with Ethan pointed to a plot born not of desperation, but of envy and greed. During the trial, the prosecution laid out the tangled web that had ensnared Claire. Ethan Ward, they revealed, had been the catalyst. Charismatic in his own troubled way, Ethan had lured Mara into a relationship built on manipulation. He painted Claire as selfish and privileged, someone who didn't deserve the fortune she had inherited. Together, they convinced themselves they could force Claire to share her wealth, money they believed she didn't even want. But witnesses painted a different picture of Claire. Friends and co-workers testified that she was generous, often covering bills for struggling friends or donating quietly to local causes. She never acted rich, one classmate recalled. If anything, she hid from it. She just wanted to be normal. This contrast between Claire's quiet humility and the greedy obsession that consumed Mara and Ethan only deepened the community's outrage. Claire's grandmother sat silently through most of the proceedings, a small figure in a sea of reporters and strangers. Her grief was palpable. She had already endured the loss of her daughter and son-in-law years before, and now the granddaughter she had raised was gone too. Worse, the betrayal had come from someone she had welcomed into her home countless times. The defense argued Mara had been manipulated by Ethan, that she was a vulnerable young woman drawn into a toxic relationship. But the jury was unmoved. The evidence was overwhelming, and the betrayal cut too deep. After weeks of testimony, the verdict was read. Guilty on charges of second-degree murder and conspiracy. Ethan Ward received a life sentence. Mara Delaney, though younger and with no prior record, was sentenced to 25 years. For Willow Creek, the Beaumont case became a defining moment in its history. The once idyllic small town found itself on national news broadcasts, its image of safety shattered. Parents clutched their children a little tighter. Neighbors locked doors that had once remained open. And the name Claire Beaumont became synonymous with both tragedy and innocence lost. A memorial now stands near the diner where Claire worked, a simple plaque surrounded by flowers that are replaced each season. Locals gather there each July to honor her life, lighting candles and whispering prayers. Though her story ended in betrayal, Claire's memory endures as a reminder of resilience and a warning of the dangers that envy and greed can bring, even in the most unlikely of places. In the end, Claire Beaumont's disappearance was not the work of a stranger lurking in the shadows, but of the people closest to her. It was not random violence, but a carefully concealed betrayal. For investigators, the case served as a painful lesson that sometimes the most dangerous secrets lie not with outsiders, but with those we trust the most. And for Willow Creek, the disappearance of Claire Beaumont would forever mark the moment when innocence slipped away and darkness crept in.